God. He deserves it. Well, go ahead and have a seat. Let me introduce you to each of the members of you. You know them by name. This is Emily, who's singing. And we have Colby, and Samantha, and Christian, and Aaron. All right, and you know Peter's going to come up in just a little bit too. But I wanted to start out talking about what do you do to get the band to interact? I had a workshop yesterday where someone said, how do you get the whole band to go from, like on a scale from 1 to 5, if they're all like a 2, and if they're not even quite intermediate, which is a 3, how do you get them to go a little further? And, you know, that's some of the things that we'll be talking about to get better at what you do. And I can imagine that's probably what you're here for. Well, let me tell you, now getting into this, one of the most important things is what's called the 100% rule. And it's kind of like a big pizza pie. And it's divided up into parts. And if you cut it, then each piece is just a part of the whole. But, you know, we have 6 people up here. Correct? Yeah, we have 6 people up here. And if we all played 100%, that would be 600%. And that would be pretty loud and probably obnoxious. Maybe some of you might go, that sounded cool. We could still be loud, but still play only a portion of the 100%. So we kind of are thinking, you know, what's going on, what we're thinking about. We're going to share that a little bit later of what goes on in our mind to play with the rest of the band. Kind of what we're thinking about with each other to fit. Because like if everybody played right in the middle range, it wouldn't sound full, and that would cause it to sound, you know, like you're stepping on toes type of thing. So the whole idea, though, is to only be 1/6, playing 1/6 of the whole band sound, and trying to decide how do I fit with that 1/6 part. So that's the idea, and we heard the bad way to do it. Let's do it one more time, that breakdown, and let's do it from the beginning where you do a couple leads, and we did think about this beforehand. It doesn't magically happen. You have to think through, okay, who's going to take this part, who's going to take this part, how do we get this one? Let's have the keyboard a little bit more prominent here. So what we're going to do is, before we do the breakdown, or right when we go into it, Aaron's going to do 2 little leads, and then we're going to have Colby on bass do a little lead, and we're going to have the drums do a little lead until we start singing. And then in singing, we're unison at first, I think, unless, are you doing a harmony? So you're doing a harmony, but you're doing a higher harmony later. And that adds even more to it and builds as well. So let's see how different it sounds from what we just did. Okay, and hopefully it'll be different. So, all right, we're going to break down, but starting with you. Okay, 1, 2, ready, go. We're not really loud. I mean, this is a loud song, so we are loud, but you can hear different parts. And that's one thing I'm very thankful that just last week, so one of the students came up and said, I can hear all the parts. You know, and we were playing in a gym, which is like, you know, noisy, bouncing everywhere. And, well, I do have to say that our sound man makes a big difference. And, you know, seriously, and making it, distinguishing the sounds and helping, you know, each one at appropriate times, sometimes coming out. But that is, and so we're going to do another song, and what we'd like to do is do different styles, because sometimes you go, well, we are the kind of band that just plays rock. We just like classic rock or something. And so what do you do when other people like different styles? Well, you might have to get out of your comfort zone. And last Wednesday, we did a song that is kind of a Hebrew-sounding song, and it's Praise Adonai by Paul Balash. And it goes first, a couple weeks ago, a little more rock, a little more up, and has some rhythm to it. And in fact, the drums do something kind of fun during the part. But then last week they surprised me and they said, let's not do it that way. Let's do it reggae. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so I'm getting out of my comfort zone. I've never done reggae before. So here it is, reggae, and we'll go into the version we did earlier. Okay, so here we go. You can tell that we had worked on it. And I think we went from being a 3 to a 4, or maybe even a 5 on the skill level, because we wanted to be a little different. And we thought, okay, where could we have some change? And sometimes there's the a cappella parts, which is a great change in a song, to just have vocals singing. But we had so that there was a little staccato, and then the drums did this clicky part, we call it, and it just really popped out. And so the whole idea is to get people excited about the meaning of the words. It's not about just the music, but it's about making things fresh. It says in Psalm 33:3, sing to the Lord a new song, play skillfully with a shout of joy. So the first thing is we're singing to the Lord, right? He's the audience. And so all of you are part of the choir, and we're just the catalyst to help us be able to sing to the Lord. A new song. Well, if we took that literally, it would mean we couldn't sing a song twice. It'd have to be new every time. So I don't think it's literal. I think what he means is sing it new in your heart. Every time you sing a song, even if it's Lord, I lift your name on high for the 3,000th time, make it new in your heart so it's fresh and it's meaningful and sincere to the Lord. It's not just like, okay, let's do like we did last week and we're just going through the motions. And then it says play skillfully, so that's our exhortation to do the best we can. It doesn't say play advanced. You don't have to sound like Bill Capey to play guitar. You don't have to, be like your vocal idol in Christendom. To be able to be used by God. You could be a beginner and just be the best you can. God uses you. So play skillfully with a shout of joy. And so really God wants us to have a sense of joy as we approach him, even though he is Almighty God. And I know Isaiah, when he first saw him, was like, woe is me, I'm going to die, because he is so great. But because of that, and because of his deep love for us, we can be shouting for joy, to him. Psalm 33, it's a great one to memorize. In fact,
what you just heard was arrangement, the intentional sculpting of moments, right? So it starts in a reggae moment, and there's the count off 1, 2, and then they're changing, and it was really, really planned, and it shows that you have that hour and a half every other day or whatever. And so I know in like volunteer world, I lead worship at a church, volunteers, we don't always have the time, but anything we can do to say, hey, and you know what, I'll speak, if you are the person that's not the leader, and you're kind of yearning for, oh, I wish the leader would do this, if you gently just, stay on it and say, hey, and if you become the person that's stirring, it a little bit and say, hey, could we try, maybe you figure out a particular kind of moment that you want, could we try, what if we tried, like on the bum, 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 bumps, when he's doing his guitar solo, just do hats. So it's groove, God, it'll bring that out even, can we just try that? Right, like some kind of idea like that, and then they go, oh, maybe I'll try that, and then they'll like it, right? And they'll go, oh, this sounds better, and the congregation will like it better. But everything we can do to intentionally arrange something, because that is what has happened. And this is, I think, the best band interactive, probably. Yeah, because you guys are so locked as a group, and it's not thrown together, it's prepared, and that really shows. And for high school musicians, it scandalizes us a little, doesn't it? Our volunteer adult teams who are like half as good as these guys, right? But it's preparation and just taking the time to do it. And 15-year-olds can do it. Let's do it. Let's prepare. So, 20 cents for right now.
Leaders need to be teachable, and not just like, I'm going this way. But they need to know you've been thoughtful too. I do have a plan when I come in, but I'm willing to change that plan. Because I think God works not only through me, but through other people too. I'm not God's only spokesperson, you know. I mean, we're a team, and really he does work through these guys. Each of us has a position, and we knew that coming in, that we have a bass player. Now he plays guitar too, so he doesn't have to play bass, and we might switch it up sometime, you know. And you know, we've got a keyboard, we have our drummer, and we could switch, but we're kind of designated. And Emily, you know, is a background person designated because I'm doing mostly the lead and the melody. But it sounds great if we switch it. She doesn't have to be just, you know, background. She's not just a background person. She sings solos as well. And so just to add a little different tone, sometimes, and to make the words pop out a little bit more, I won't sing, I'll let her sing. And then sometimes I'll sing a little background too, and we'll switch it up. So, you know, that's important to have. And I watch the dynamic changes too. Just another thing that to point out is that there's 4 elements of music, well, 4 elements of sound found in life. As I've taught music appreciation, there's just 4 elements of sound. And one is pitch, there's high or low. Another is volume or amplitude, which is loud or soft. Another one is tone. I mean, whether you can tell it's a tuba or a flute. You know, my sons will come down the hall, and one's 21, the other one's 18. And when they say, "Hi, Dad," I can tell who it is because of their tone. I don't even have to look. And so tone is important too. I can play my guitar like this, but then later on I can go, changes the tone. And then the 4th thing is rhythm. And some people don't consider that part of sound, but it's how you group the sounds, whether it's a drip going, or a train, and how you do rhythm matters in music and sound too. So what we try to do is kind of look at each of those and go, okay, what can we do with pitch and make it a little different, change up what I'm doing personally, but also what we're doing, what can I do with volume, and you know, what can I do with tone to change things up, and what can I do with rhythm. So those are the things we could look at, and knowing and kind of separating them helps too. So so let's forever ring. Hopefully you might know this, but just work with that. But as much as you can to get stuff out of the way, so you feel like there's a relationship there, and you're encouraging people to sing along. You know, and you're not behind stuff. Anything? You know what I'd like to do is to have each of our band members share just a little bit about what they're thinking about when we are playing. And can we start with you, Colby? Just why don't you, now let's, you'll probably have to, let's use my mic. You can use, okay.
Okay. Here's the number one thing. Well, number one thing is make sure you're playing the right notes. I mean, in practice, if you're gonna mess up loud. That's what one of the teachers have always told me. Like, if you're gonna mess up, there's no shame in it in practice. Just get it out of the way. You'll be a little embarrassed, and then when you're performing live, you'll remember. But the other thing I do too is always with the lower end notes, so there's notes like more down in the bass end. I always try to match up with the kick pedal of the drums, because that way you kind of get the accent of the sound. It's a lot boomier and get a lot more force out of it. And if there's anything you can notice, just to stay in sync with the drums. Like, I don't know if Sam's doing something on the snare, I can go up like the octave, they're both higher. It's like, that way it kind of just accents everything, and you get more of a combined sound rather than, you know, just trying to play.
That's good. Well, appreciate it. Let's give a hand. Oh, you have plugged in, that's right. We got in-ear monitors. Yeah. This is Samantha.
I'm Samantha. I'm the drummer. One thing that's major on my part, and I've noticed as I've grown, is if I'm not confident then in my part, then it's hard for everyone else to be confident. So I need to know my part before I even go into practice. And like, you can always change things during practice, but if I like strong and wrong is what my dad always tells me. So if I know what I'm doing, then I know that my bass player is going to follow me and we're going to connect. And then you just always kind of watch every player, and then like I'll always look at Emily, and then she'll look at me, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's the more you connect and are around the people, you kind of know how to play, and yeah, that's what I think about.
That's awesome. Let's give a hand for Savannah. Dovetail on that is for teamwork, that's really important that you do look around even at your team and have encouraging looks, not kind of like, what was that? You know, but more of a, you know, look around and you are kind of listening to what they're doing and appreciating different things or trying to assess and change what you're doing to meet that. That's good. All right. So let's have Christian, you want to do, I don't know what mics are live, so let's just go to this one.
So basically the number one thing I think on keyboard, especially coming from classical piano, is like, basically the keyboard can do anything that any of the other instruments can do. It can lead like guitar, it can play leads like electric guitar, it can play the rhythm like drums, or the melody like a vocalist, or the bass like a bassist. So it's really easy to step on people. So the main thing to look out for is that you're not stepping on other people's parts with the keyboards.
That's good. Great, thank you. Let's have let's have you share a little about electric guitar. Although sometimes you play acoustic. This is Aaron.
I think the main important thing that I've learned from my years of playing in worship bands, especially for electric guitar, you really got to listen to everybody else in the band. You've got to make sure you don't overplay, because lots of times electric guitarists, you know, they want to play really loud, have all the flying solos, which you can still do, but like if it's like a soft like a verse, you kind of want to hold back. You got to know when to really got to know when to cut back, so you're not like throwing off people. And especially in situations like this where like you're playing like a rhythm, like electric guitar kind of in the back, and there's like an acoustic guitar on lead, you gotta like if you're playing chords, you gotta listen to like the acoustic guitars, like the strum pattern and all that, and you have to kind of try to match up, because that can throw like the audience off, and it can throw the leaders off and all the rest of your bandmates as well. So you kind of just gotta really try to blend in, and it'll sound great. Sound great.
And also, our very last song, aren't you doing, you're changing the tone a little bit, where you have like no distortion in one part and more distortion in another, or something like that?
Oh yeah, that's another point. You don't always need distortion. You don't always need to like be rocking it the whole song.
Let's record a tone. Yeah, change that. Thank you. Good. Let's have a hand for Aaron. Can you share just a little bit too? I mean, maybe just reiterate the keyboard, like the placement, being conscious.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love what you said, because the keyboard can step into other people's territory. You want to pick tone that will work really well. So let's say, if it was just Reggie and I, somebody said, oh, we just have guitar and keyboard. If it's just Reggie and I might think about a string pad that's going to have a nice lush, and he's going to be doing a lot of rhythm. And I may not compete with him a lot on piano licks, right? Because he's going to have a lot of the rhythm elements handled, so I can be harmony. If there's a ton of band, I might just play right hand on an organ or something if the band is rocking, and my left hand is the Worship of Jesus hand. Because the bass player's got the low end, right? So placement of where I find that strings and organ I use a lot, piano sometimes in transitions, and then ethereal kind of pad, ambient type pads are good for like the set the mood moment, maybe beginning of a bridge, beginning of a song. You hear them always at the beginning of concerts. Now, like that kind of sound can be used really, really well somewhere in a song. And so, you know, as a leader too, because I lead sometimes from key, sometimes from guitar. You know, kind of going, hey, on electric, can you play high? Right? You know, if somebody isn't doing it, I can go, hey, why don't you play high? Because I'm going to play low, and making sure that everybody's in their spot, so they're not stepping on each other if you're the leader. So.
That's really good. Thank you. And as far as the leader's concerned, I just want to make sure that I do what I say, because during rehearsal, I'm going to certain verse a certain way. And once in a while I get confused and I won't do 2 choruses and it throws everybody off, you know. We have to, you know, think about what you're doing and stay in the same order so that it follows. A lot of times we're working with a click, and I partly do it for training because if you become a studio musician, you have to work with a click. But it's not as enjoyable because you're stuck. Whatever is going on the video, you know, to follow the words in the moving video with the I worship stuff, you're following a click and you got to know exactly when that chorus comes. Is there 4 measures in between the verse and the chorus, or is there 8 or 2? You know, you have to be exact with it and seem like, oh yeah, I knew that, and just, you know, keep going. So as a leader, just know what you're doing, and when you make decisions during rehearsal, stick with it so they can follow. Well, electric a lot of time is considered the lead, and so they would take a chord and do like arpeggios more. So let's say it's an E minor, so he might go like this. You know, that's how it is. Not strumming. Yeah, he probably wouldn't, except maybe if you have a certain tone, he might go. That tone just kind of sparse. You know, but it's a little more complimentary, and I'm the one who's kind of doing a rhythmic, keeping it going. That's good. Would anybody want to play acoustic? Anybody play acoustic? Yeah, come on up. That'd be great. All right. Good. Let's have a hand for all of our. Thank you, guys. Good. Oh. Okay, thank you. All right. Peter, did you want to comment on anything on that? Kind of a. I think you go ahead.
You notice how it got better, you know? A little bit of
The second time,
practice
and you got to talk about it too.
intentionality. I think a lot of it comes down to intentionality.
That's true. Well, one of the easiest ways is by using a capo and having different sounds, different voicings. So, like, let's say it's in the key of G, you go, praises rising. So I'm on a G sound, that's a particular voicing. Now, if I have the other guitar plays an E, puts it up there, so it's like, praises rising, eyes are turning to you. Just a different voicing. If you move it up here, then you can do the key of D. So praises rising, different sound. Move it up even more, and it's in C. So praises rising. Of course, as a leader, you have to write it out in each. But you know, with Song Select, they just go, I want that key, and it prints it out. So it's kind of cool. Another thing is just encouraging them to understand music theory and maybe even take some classes or understanding the difference between 1, 3, and 5. And so if someone's playing, like, let's say a D here, someone can play a D here and play a D here. And it changes the sound a little bit too. So one person is doing one strum, and the other's doing another strum. Yeah, it's usually in a church situation. We have another band, a high school band, that has 2 guitars, and they're both electric usually, and I'm acoustic. And so they have to go back and forth between just playing kind of a rhythm thing. It's a little different than I'm doing, but it has a different tone. It's electric guitar tone, and then the other person doing some lead stuff, which might mean kind of like unfortunately, we're at the end of our time, and I wanted to close with a song called You Won't Relent. And I love the words of this song. It's one made popular by the Jesus Culture group, and it's new for me. In fact, it was one of those things that Emily said, hey, I like this one, let's do it. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. See, I like to do songs I know, but I know that there's treasures out there that I don't know about, and this was one of them. And so I hope that you know that God is after you. You know, it says in John that God is seeking those who worship in spirit and in truth. He's after us. He won't relent. He wants us to worship Him in spirit and in truth, until we give him our whole heart. And that's what this song is about.